Hello guys, Emmanuel from Geekception here and hope you're doing awesome today. Now, Apple just released Apple Arcade, which is their gaming subscription where you pay one price and you can game on iOS, Mac OS and iPad OS. And I had this crazy idea. Emmanuel, why don't you play all the games available on Apple Arcade? And that is exactly what I did. Let's begin. And welcome back, guys. Now, if you're new here, I'm Emmanuel, this is Geekception, and it's good to have you here. If you're returning, well, have a seat, welcome back. Now, before getting into this video is brought to you by Geekception, which is us, our Patreon. So do check out our Patreon if you want to see behind the scenes videos, especially how I made this monstrosity of a video. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Geekception. Now, before getting into this video, Apple Arcade, for a primer for perhaps those people that don't know, is a subscription service but for games. So essentially the premise is that you can play a game on iOS or Mac OS or iPad OS, and it synchronizes your saves across all the different platforms, which means you can start your game in one platform and begin in another platform, which is super cool. Now let's get into 72 games. So essentially it's going to be a lot of games, so I'm going to put a list down in the comment section or description listing all the games with a time code, so you can quickly jump to the game you're interested in case you just want one or two games. Let's get into it. The first game is Oceanhorn II, and in fact the main reason why I decided to try out Apple Arcade was because of this game. Oceanhorn II is an open world game, and for some reason I associate it with something like Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch. The game is simply breathtaking with console level graphics, either on the iPad or on mobile or on Mac OS when it eventually launches, and it simply looks stunning. A big recommend from me. Game number 2 is Overland. Now this game is a turn-based strategy game in a post-apocalyptic world where you try to escape from monsters and gather resources. I'm not really familiar with strategy games, which is a shame because this game looks absolutely stunning. Shame that I will not be playing it, as it is just not my thing. Game number 3 is Where Cards Fall. In Where Cards Fall, you solve puzzles with cards to progress in the game, hence the name Where Card Falls. I have to say, I like the art style on this one, and the music is also very nice. I recommend you use headphones. I might just be keeping this one. Game number 4 is Hexa Flip. It is a fairly simple game where you flip the cube left or right. Now, while that sounds simple in theory, in practice it can get quite hard. I foresee myself playing this to pass the time and maybe even getting addicted to it. I'm keeping this one. Game number 5 is Jenny LeClue. The premise of this game is to investigate cases such as the first one that is introduced to you in the beginning. The game is definitely well made, with lot of dialogue and an option to make deductions on each case. For me though, the text was a bit too much, and yes, I know it's supposed to be, so while nice, I will not be keeping Jenny LeClue. Game number 6 is Spider Soars. This game reminds me of back in the days when I used to play Contra. Anybody remember Contra? The first thing I noticed with this game is that the beginning dialogue is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. Now, after a while, I sort of just stopped reading it. The game controls are easy though. Auto shoot is available with swipe to change the direction of the gun. And while this is personally not a game I would play, perhaps you can give it a try if this looks like something that interests you. Uninstall. Game number 7 is Earth Knight. On launching this game, it lets you know that you can use a controller to play, which is nice. Now, I did not have a controller, but you know, it's nice to know that if I ever had a controller, I can play it with this game. And if you've played a game like Alto's Adventure, then you'll be pretty familiar with the game mechanics of this game. Starting off, it is set in space, and you have to run while collecting different items and bouncing off enemies. I have to say though, I like the art style of Earth Knight as well as the soundtrack it uses. This seems nice and I see myself playing it from time to time. I'm keeping this one. Game number 8 is Assemble, and it is by far one of my favorite games on Apple Arcade so far. The game is basically several episodes of you fixing broken things. Now, while that does sound interesting, I was pleasantly surprised at how well executed this game was. First, it is not only about fixing things. It has a very nice story element to it too, complete with voice acting and sound effects. Not forgetting the fixing part of the game, and even that part is well thought out. You interact with items as you would in real life, which has a certain novelty to it. I highly recommend this one and I'm definitely keeping it. Don't forget to play it with headphones on. Game number 9 is Shantae and the 7 Sirens. It is a platformer game, and while it does look good, I would say I lost interest pretty fast. If you like platformers though, then maybe perhaps check this out. For me though, it's a no. Uninstall. Game number 10 is Down in Bermuda. This game starts off with a pilot crashing his plane on Bermuda. With a series of puzzles, you're supposed to get him off the island. Now, while there are several elements that I liked in this game, I just couldn't play it for long, as the puzzle, even at the beginning, was a bit too much for me. It is nice and I recommend you check it out if you like those kinds of puzzles, but I will be uninstalling it. Game number 11 is Grindstone. So imagine this, Grindstone is like Candy Crush on steroids, but like with swords. Basically, you have to match the same kind of enemy to kill them in a chain, and let me tell you, this game gets addictive, like very quick. I will definitely be keeping it, and I will be playing this for some time to come. Game number 12 is What the Golf. Now this is a golf game, except it's not. Instead of just the ball, there are many ways to golf in What the Golf. From humans, to cats, to couches, to just about anything you can imagine. It is an absolutely wacky take on what you can play golf with. Plus, I love the puns that are used in almost everywhere in the game. I am definitely keeping this one, and I think you should too. Game number 13 is Card of Darkness. The premise of this game is to uncover cards until you get to the other side of the table. If you like strategy games, perhaps this is something that will interest you, but it pretty much did nothing for me and I won't be keeping this. Game number 14 is Lego Brawl. Lego Brawl is supposed to be an online multiplayer game, but so far in the 3 days that Apple Arcade has been out, I haven't been able to get any games. Never mind, I entered the training mode, and as you can see, it is something similar to something like Brawl Stars, for example. It is a shame I wasn't able to actually play with other people, but I'll be keeping this for a while longer when more people are subscribed to Apple Arcade. Game number 15 is Patterned. So Patterned is a jigsaw puzzle with a twist. First up, it has a beautiful background music. Next, it shows you the general area where the puzzle might be. And finally, I think it's supposed to help you relax as you solve a variety of puzzles. I'm not really someone who does jigsaw puzzles, and even though it is nicely done here, I will not be keeping it. But if you love jigsaw puzzles, however, check it out. I highly recommend it. Game number 16 is Stellar. Stellar is a real-time strategy game, and yes, again, I am not a fan of real-time strategy kind of games, but the graphics and gameplay here seems very, very nice. But not nice enough for me though, because I just couldn't make it past the tutorial, sorry. Real-time strategy games, really not for me. But if you like real-time strategy, perhaps you want to check it out. Game number 17 is Escape the Dungeon. Escape the Dungeon is an 8-bit platformer game, and the controls are achieved by either swiping or by pressing and holding. A game which I'm sure platformer fans might like, but for me, it's a no. Uninstall. Game number 18 is Spaceland. Spaceland is a turn-based strategy game set in space. Well, that makes sense. I have no history in playing strategy games, but this does look nice, at least to my non-strategy games eyes. Shame I'll be uninstalling it though, as I just couldn't get into it. But if you like turn-based strategy games though, do check out Spaceland. Game number 19 is Rayman Mini. Now Rayman Mini is a modern take on the classic Rayman game, and it looks absolutely stunning. Now controls here are simple, with a tap on the left for jumping and gliding, while a tap on the right is for attack. And while I actually liked playing the game, it's a game I don't really see myself returning to multiple times. Do check it out for the nostalgia though. Game number 20 is Agent Intercept. Agent Intercept is a James Bond meets Asphalt 9 kind of game, and I love it. The controls are simple enough with a swipe left or right, and I actually enjoyed this game so much that I forgot I was actually recording for this video. That's how fun it was. I also love that with each hit in the game, there is a sound that is played which I really like. I highly recommend Agent Intercept. Game number 21 is Punch Planet. Punch Planet is a fighting game that is actually pretty decent. The graphics is superb, animation's top notch, and with varying combos you can use. The only thing I can maybe complain about, if there is a complaint, is that there are only 6 characters. Punch Planet is a ton of fun, and with controller support you can fully execute all the moves. I definitely recommend Punch Planet. Game number 22 is Sneaky Sasquatch. Sneaky Sasquatch puts you in the position of, well, a Sasquatch that is sneaky. You have to survive by stealing food from camps, bargaining with a bear for money, and other nefarious activities. I never thought that I would like this game this much, but it grew on me the more I kept playing it, and I will be keeping this one. Game number 23 is Carpocalypse. It is a card game similar to something like Hearthstone, with a story centered around Jessica. While I'm not one who enjoys card games, I appreciate the art style and detail that went into Carpocalypse. I also like the music jingles here, so check it out if you like card games, skip it if you don't. Game number 24 is Operator 41. It is a stealth game similar to something like, say, Hitman. The goal of the game is to reach the telephone while avoiding detection by security guards and the cameras. It was a nice little game to play, but I don't think I will be playing this for long. Game number 25 is Battle Sky Harpooner. At first, it looks like those classic games I played a long time ago on NES, but this is different. I would explain. So yes, while you have to shoot your way to the top, on getting hit, you also have to gather coins as well as avoid obstacles and enemies on your way down too. So it's a two-pronged play. I didn't initially think it would be any good, but I see myself just playing this mindlessly for hours, and I will be keeping it. Game number 26 is Frogger in Toy Town. This game was demoed by Apple at their recent iPhone 11 launch, and I must say it looks really stunning on playing it myself. The controls implemented here are simple enough, and I definitely enjoyed playing Frogger, and I will be keeping it in my rotation of Apple arcade games. Game number 27 is Red Rain. Now the best way I can describe this game is Clash of Clans meets Dota, or at least that's how it seems to me. You start with an empty camp, which you have to build, while also simultaneously fortifying your enemy and upgrading your structures and mines. I really did not think too much of this game at first when I started playing it, but I think it is a game I will enjoy very much after playing it. Game number 28 is Various Day Life. Published by Square Enix, this game's layout as well as the movement is very interesting. So you can either go left or right, but as you move, the perspective of the game changes as well. The premise of this game is that you're a colonist settling in a new colony. It is very story heavy, and it looks like the kind of game I will play for a long time. Game number 29 is Mini Motorways. The premise of this game is that you connect roads to buildings to facilitate movement in the city. The game starts out simple enough, but then gets very complicated very fast. And while it is a puzzle game of some sorts, I found it really easy to get into, and I will be keeping this for a while. Game number 30 is Don't Bug Me. It is a defense game set in space where you fight off Martians. You can either through first-person mode shoot the Martian monsters yourself, or you can build turrets to fight them off. And while doing this, you can also upgrade your sonar panel to make building turrets faster. Now, while I am not a fan of strategy games, I will be keeping this one. Game number 31 is King's League 2. You play as Maxwell, son of a king from House Valerie. The gameplay here consists of you joining a league and battling your way all the way up. As regards to gameplay, the mechanics are pretty easy to grasp. Your character auto-attacks, and you can also perform power-ups during the battles. It seems to have a very nice story to it, but I don't think I'll be keeping this one. Game number 32, Spell Drifter, is a chess meets Hearthstone kind of game. You progress along the path on the board, but also play cards for the action of your character. If you like the kind of games such as Hearthstone, perhaps you'd want to check out Spell Drifter, but for me, it's a no. Game number 33 is Explotins, and this game is about you, a kitten, blowing other kittens up. While the game is fairly easy to get into, the controls were a bit too wonky for me. I really could not get a hold of how to control my gun properly, and I wish there was another control scheme I could have switched to. And while the game looks promising, I don't think I'll be keeping Explotins. Game number 34 is the Get Out Kids. The Get Out Kids is a story-based puzzle game with 24 chapters, so that's a lot of content. You interact with elements in the game to proceed, and there is a lot of dialogue due to the story component of the game. I highly recommend this if you enjoy having a story and solving a puzzle at the same time. I'll be keeping this one. Game number 35 is Speck. Speck is a game that plays with perspective, and I like it. While I did not initially get it, forgive me, not everybody is smart, with time I've actually come to love Speck, and I will be playing more of it. Game number 36 is The Way of the Turtle. It is a platformer game, but with a twist. Well, quite literally a twist. As you progress in the game, the perspective of the game keeps changing. The turtle moves forward automatically, but you can change directions with a swipe. I enjoyed Way of the Turtle, and I will be keeping it. Game number 37 is Life Slide, where you play as a paper plane that glides through the world. I didn't think much of this game at the beginning when I started playing it, but I actually enjoyed Life Slide. I like the fact that the game has seamless transitions between levels and a bomb-ass audio track and amazing graphics here. And in case you cannot tell, I'm really excited about Life Slide, and it gets a big recommend from me. Game number 38 is NeoCab. NeoCab puts you into the shoes, or rather in this case, the seat of an on-demand cab driver in a world where everything is automated. This is a story-based game where you are presented with different choices, and while yes, it does have a lot of dialogue, it doesn't really feel draggy or tiring, and I will definitely be keeping this one. It's one of my faves. Game number 40 is Skate City. The first thing I noticed about Skate City is just how stunning the game is. You perform tricks by swiping in a number of directions, and I think it is well executed here. There are several game modes such as the challenges or endless run, and Skate City looks like a kind of game I will be playing for a long time. Game number 41 is The Enchanted World. The Enchanted World is a puzzle game where you try to get the main character to the end of the world by solving block puzzles. The puzzles in this case is in how to connect the broken roads together. And while this looks and sound nice, I have to admit, I don't think I'll be keeping it. Game number 42 is Tint. Tint is a coloring game that tests both your creativity and how well you know how to combine colors to form one color from two other colors. I have to give plus points to the game because of the chill soundtrack. Definitely something I recommend if you want to chill and just relax. Game number 43 is Over the Alps. It is a game similar to NeoCab I just covered in mechanics, and here in Over the Alps, you are presented with a number of choices, and your choices determine how the game progresses. And I have to admit, while I loved, selecting options in NeoCab, here in Over the Alps, it got very tiring very fast, and I will not be keeping this one. Game number 44 is Hot Lava. Now, even if you're not going to download this game, please just check it out for the intro scene. It has the best cutscene I've seen so far on Apple Arcade. I enjoyed the intro cutscene so much that, I caught myself giggling throughout the whole thing. The gameplay, however, was more of a miss than a hit for me. Here's why. Number one, the controls were very clunky, and even almost an hour later, I couldn't properly grasp how to move in the game. Number two, playing this left me divided because as much as I loved the art style, the dialogue, the graphics, the controls just did not do it for me. I might keep this in the hopes that maybe I would learn how to control it better, or I might not. Game number 45 is Shinkai, Into the Depths. Now, I played this on my iPhone, a perfect demonstration of resumption from my iPad because I had to charge my battery after playing all those games. Anyways, this game is about a sole human survivor, you, underwater, looking for resources and avoiding getting killed. This game is tons of fun, and I like the music, the graphics, and the mechanics. It gets a big recommend from me. I'll be keeping it. Game number 46 is the Pinball Wizard. This is a very interesting take on traditional pinball, but instead of a ball, you have the wizard, and as you can see, you use the wizard to attack enemies as well as collect items. I liked playing the Pinball Wizard very much, and I will be playing this for a while. Game number 47 is Word Laces. Word Laces is a game where you lace the words according to the image given. Yes, I know, Captain Obvious, but I like that it has a very simple, easy to get to interface and the gameplay mechanics. I will be keeping Word Laces for those times I'm in the train heading home. Game number 48 is Dear Reader. This game focuses on wordplay, but in an interesting way. You fill in the blanks. I like that it integrates actual books such as Pride and Prejudice and Alice in the Wonderland into the gameplay. I will be playing this over a long period of time for sure. Game number 49 is Projection, a game about a puppet girl who controls light. It is a mix between platforming and puzzle, and I like it very much. What I like the most about it, first of all, is the style, the silhouette style, and second of all, the simple controls. Check Projection out, I'll also be keeping this one. Game number 50 is Atone, Heart of the Elder Tree. And for the love of all things righteous, I couldn't understand this game even though I was at it for the greater part of almost 45 minutes. If you know what this game is about, please let me know, because I really don't. Game number 51 is Big Time Sports. Big Time Sports consists of a series of mini sports games that are wacky but fun. I especially like the basketball game. Football is also fun too, and I will be keeping this one. Game number 52 is Tango Tower. Tango Tower is a detective game where you solve mysteries by investigating things in the environment. The art style used in Tango Tower is quite nice, and the graphics are as impressive. And if you are into detective games, you might like this one. But I would have to admit it is not for me though. Just not my style, I guess. Game number 53 is Dredd Nautical. Now, Dredd Nautical is a tactical RPG game set on a ship involving zombies, or thralls as they are known. And while RPG games are generally not for me, I did actually enjoy playing this one while I was testing it. Check it out if you love RPG games. Game number 54 is Motas Zone, or Motas Zone. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And after playing this game for a while, I can say that this is a movie cosplaying as a game, because that's simply what I can use to describe this game. You play as Kai, visiting a grandfather on an island filled with mutant life. You control Kai by tapping around, and not to spoil this game too much, definitely check it out if you're into story-based games. I will be losing so many hours to this one. Game number 55 is Bleak Sword. This game's design is an 8-bit, but with some 3D elements to it. I like the combat system here, which was very easy for me to grasp. I also liked the music and the general art direction too. I will be keeping this one for sure. Game number 56 is Sayonara Wild Hearts. First off, this game is just amazing. It has beautiful visuals, an awesome soundtrack, and a nice storyline. I really got lost in the game while I was playing it for this video. And on playing the game, I understand why Apple had this game as a demonstration for Apple Arcade. I cannot recommend this game enough. Actually, right now, if you're considering Apple Arcade, pause this video right now, go to your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac device, download or subscribe to Apple Arcade. First month is free, and just play it just for this singular game alone. It's that good. Game number 57 is Cat Quest 2. Cat Quest 2 is an open world 2D RPG with a cat and a dog as the main protagonists. Now, I went in with very low expectations, but on playing Cat Quest 2, I was so impressed I will be buying a controller just so that I can play it properly. I also like the puns all throughout the game and just how cute the game is. I recommend this one. Game number 58 is Dead End Job. Now, Dead End Job is a wacky game where you play as a ghostbuster. You'll be clearing out ghosts while also trying to get as much cash as possible. It was fun and light, and I see myself playing this perhaps while in the train or, going somewhere in the car. Game number 59 is Dodo Peak. You play as a dodo rescuing eggs. Now, in Dodo Peaks, you have to avoid dangers such as snakes, rocks, and also try to make it back in time with your eggs. While this game is very casual, it is also quite fast-paced, and I like it, and I will be keeping it. Game number 60 is Cricket Through the Ages. Now, this game is a fun, wacky take on cricket, and I must say the intro story is really, really good. This game has absolutely no method to it, and that is part of what makes it so nice to play. It also has co-op mode, so you can play with your friends right on your device. Check it out. Game number 61 is Speed Demons. Now, Speed Demons is a racing game with a top-down view, and the racing takes place on the highway. The music used here is also very top-notch, apart from the action you're going to be getting. Though for me though, I don't think I will be keeping it, but it does definitely look interesting. If it catches your eyes, check it out. Game number 62 is Fledgling Heroes. It is a game where you play either as a parrot or as a penguin. Your aim is to get coins and rescue your friends. I did not really like the jump curve in this game, and I didn't really feel I was able to control the characters adequately. Perhaps maybe a future update will fix this, but until then, I will not be keeping this game. Game number 63 is Towaga, Among Shadows. Now, you play as the character that frees souls from demons by shining your light at them. Or I think that's what the game is about. I don't know. I did not really read the very lengthy intro dialogues. But if this looks like something that you would want to check out, then check it out. Game number 64 is Sonic Racing. Now, Sonic Racing is a new take on the classic Sonic, and the controls here are very simple, and it was quite easy to get into it. You can either play offline with friends or online. I think this is the kind of game I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of. Game number 65 is Stranded Sails. Now, it is a game about sailing on the seas with your dad, and the controls used here is definitely not my favorite. I'll explain. So you have to drag in the direction of where you want to go, and it isn't very intuitive. I couldn't get into it beyond the tutorial, and even then, I will not be keeping this game. Uninstall. Game number 66 is Painty Mob. Now, the goal of this game is to paint the whole mob with your colors, and as you can expect, it is very colorful, it is very quirky, it is very easy to get to, and I like it very well. I'll be keeping this one. Game number 67 is Outlanders. Now, this game puts you in charge of a settlement. That means you have to build all the structures for your villages, assign jobs, and things along those lines. It is not my kind of game, but it looks fairly interesting, and you might want to check this out if games like this interest you. Game number 68 is Hyper Brawl. Now, the closest game I can compare this to is Rocket League, but without cars or a giant ball, or actually maybe not Rocket League at all. So basically, you have to score a goal by putting the ball in the net. To help you do that, you can take out opponent players who have the ball with several moves. It looked very promising, but I did not really like the controls, and it seemed overly too complicated for me, if that's a thing, and I would not be keeping this. Game number 69 is Choo Choo. Choo Choo? Choo Choo. Choo Choo! First off, this game took so long to put me in a multiplayer match, and even with that, it was with bots, not with humans, so I guess people are not really on there right now. Secondly, I did not understand anything that was going on, and if you understand this game, perhaps drop me a comment regards to this game, because I just don't understand anything. Game number 70 is Super Impossible Road. Set in space, you race against the backdrops of stunning planets, I have to admit. The controls here are super straightforward. Tap left and right to steer, but what isn't straightforward though is being able to stay on track. Now, this game looks visually stunning, and I will be playing it definitely later. Game number 71 is Murder Mystery Machine, MMM. This, by the looks of it, is a detective game where you solve cases by examining the crime scene and surroundings. At least that was what I got when I was playing the tutorial. I will not be playing this any further as it isn't quite my style, but if you love detective games, perhaps you should check out MMM. And the last and final game is Possessions. Now, Possessions is a game where you place things in a living room by using perspective. A puzzle game of sorts that I can get on board with. I'll be keeping this one to play later, and I even look forward to playing it in AR mode. But yes, that is 72 games that launched with Apple Arcade. If you've watched it this far, I do not know what to say to you, but you know, wow, just wow. I don't even think I will make it. I don't even know how I made it this far. It has taken me 5 days to shoot. It has taken me 9 pages of, scripting and countless of games, but I finally brought this to you. I hope it has been useful to you in one way or the other. Do check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Geekception, where you can actually see behind the scenes of how I managed to put this madness together. It is totally mad, I guarantee you. It is as mad as you think. Anyways, not to drag this on for too long, if you've lasted this long in the video, I put hashtag arcade apple, so I know you've made it this far. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs up if you did not like it, and don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos here on Geekception. And until the next time, I shall catch you. Don't forget to be awesome. Bye.